Hello and welcome to episode 284 of the 77 Club. Harry, start with the socials.
Yeah, we're the Wall 77 Club on Facebook. We're also on X at 77 Club Podcast. We're on Spotify, YouTube. Please follow us and tell a friend.
Jack Williams is here.
Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas.
And Jimmy Neutron has made appearance on the podcast. Loving the Quiff Bayliss. Good to have you back. How was, where did you go, Vietnam?
Yeah, time to Vietnam. Very nice. Lovely part of the world.
Would you recommend?
I would.
Excellent. Maybe Gary O'Neill will go there. Harry, let's start with the loss at home to Ipswich. I think we all said it on the podcast last week that it was a must-win. We did not win. Terrible scenes after the match, but just talk us through the match itself.
Weird one thinking back in hindsight now, because so much has happened since then in the few days after it. There was only one change, wasn't it? O'Neill just put Bellegarde in for Gomez, and going into it, I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel anything. I felt very numb going into the game and very sober, as you lot know. And it was a poor performance. Like Ipswich, fair play, they're up for it, but they're poor as well. Come on, like we should be beating Ipswich, but they wanted it more. We were poor first half. Bellegarde, who come in, had an absolute stinker, missing that sitter first half. And the goal was just like a comedy sketch, wasn't it, the way it went in. Semedo got bullied by Delap, which I know O'Neill called him out for after. And then Totti just hitting it onto his own man, basically. And then an own goal. I thought Doc had a really poor game as well after he's been good lately. And we got the equaliser. We had other chances to win it. But as soon as that corner was given at the end, I just knew it was going to go in. You could just feel it. The amount of set pieces we conceded, I thought this would be a free header and it'd be a goal, and that's what happened. And in a way, I'm glad that goal went in, because I think if we'd have drew 1-1, Gary O'Neill would still be in charge. So I'm glad it went in, to be honest.
Bayliss, you were actually slumming it with the poor people for once. How was it out in the stands, out in the cold, without your padded seat?
I actually enjoyed my day out. It was good until Wolves started playing football, but at least I wasn't crying on ITV News in the week. So that's always positive. So, we were crap. We are crap. But I'm not crying about it. We'll talk about it sensibly.
Jack, what were your thoughts? I mean, as Harry said, it's sort of one of those, I think a couple of comments last week as well were saying it was Southampton syndrome, wanting to see your team lose just to end the pain.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think I ever really want to see us lose, especially not in such a crucial game as we all said it was beforehand. And it was one of those where I think I said 1-1 on my prediction. I was very nearly right. But I kind of had a feeling going into it. I was like, I think we'll just get the job done like we did against Southampton sort of thing. And obviously I was wrong. But if you wanted to see 2 goals to sort of sum up Gary O'Neill's reign as Wolves manager in recent weeks, I think the 2 that we conceded against Ipswich pretty much sum it up, because the first one is just a disaster, really, when we're in the game. It's absolute, clown show. And, we get ourselves back into the game in the second half. And then from that point, from when we score up until the last 3 minutes, the injury time, we are the dominant side. We are the team that's looking like we're going to go on and win that game. Ipswich, a team that we've seen in recent weeks, panic and let in late goals and concede. And watching that, you're thinking, well, anybody who doesn't watch Wolves very much is watching this game as a neutral, thinking there's only going to be one winner here, and it's going to be Wolves. And, how wrong you can be, because what happens is they get a corner late on, and what do? We just leave someone unmarked at the back post and they score, which, we saw it on Monday night, the same thing. So, what's going on? I don't care. I know we've had injuries. I know we sold Kilman, but our defending is just been an absolute joke. And those 2 goals completely sum it up. And I don't care. You can't really complain about the personnel involved, because the players we do still have available should not be letting in goals that easy. So, what do you say? It's one of those where I think Gary O'Neill's got exactly what he deserved. And it's just really frustrating, really, because obviously the Ipswich fans are absolutely buzzing. Our lot, again, have just shown a complete lack of discipline, particularly after the final whistle went, which, again, is a pattern of behaviour that we've seen in recent weeks now with Labino and Ait Nouri and others, and the same offenders again, and now this time Cunha. And it just shows that the management isn't there. There's no vocal point. There's no gaffer there who's actually can control his players and discipline them. And you see that in the defending, and you saw it with the way we've been letting in goals. So good riddance.
Harry, it was one of the first times that Gary O'Neill had sort of called out the players, probably knowing that in his final post-match interview that it was going to be his final post-match interview. But he was saying that people weren't doing their jobs. I think he said that Delap will never score another goal like that in the Premier League. It was literally gifted to him. What were your thoughts on that? I mean, do you agree with him?
Well, I think after West Ham, he kind of was aiming his frustrations at Fosun a little bit. So I think he thought he was going to go then. So he was probably just as shocked as everybody that he was still manager, because obviously Jeff Shee come out with that weird Expression Star column about positive atoms and backing him because it's not entirely his fault. But then I just think, he just went hell for leather and just basically was saying, I think particularly the one he did with BBC WM, saying that it's their player's fault. How can Semedo get bullied like a 12-year-old? Even though he highlighted that Delap is a strong nuisance of a striker, and then he plays right back at centre half. So that's his fault for putting Semedo there and then having to mark a play like that. So just doesn't make sense. And apparently he was in the change room after the game as well for ages. Like the press conference had to wait a while because he probably was saying his goodbyes as well as having a go at them. And it just something just don't feel right. Like we discussed probably about a month ago whether he's lost the dressing room after Fulham. We thought he hadn't, but he clearly has. Sarr kicking off in the stands against Bournemouth. Cunha now kicking off, which is unlike Cunha. When he scored the equaliser, he kind of looked at the South Bank as if to say, what do you want? You know what I mean? Like giving it the big one. And obviously Ait Nouri throwing his toys at the pram, getting carried away like a baby by Craig Dawson. Lamina after West Ham. It's something must be rotten in the dressing room. They must all be arguing, all kicking off. You don't mind it behind closed doors, but when it's happening every week in public viewing, it's just not good look, is it? And how the hell O'Neill lasts as long as he has, I'll never know. But we do know, because as we've seen, that Fosun prefers to go to fortnight tournaments and Jeff Shee prefers to go to fortnight tournaments than actually be at the games to sack a manager when we have a bad performance. So, O'Neill knew he was going. So his comments were of him as a manager, not just after this game. In the last few weeks, his comments after games has been a man who knows his days are numbered and knew he'd get the sack.
We have a go at Fortnite and stuff, but I know that most of Jack's friends actually he's met through Fortnite. So past their bedtime now, obviously, but we'll say hello to them in the morning. Bayliss, how difficult is it to turn around something that looks to have turned so toxic? I mean, we were sat together at Fulham thinking actually they're still fighting for him. We're there a couple of weeks later thinking that's not the case anymore. And obviously the new manager is going to come in, but how difficult is it going to be for him to turn that around?
No, totally. Fulham was just the anomaly, easy for me to say. And that's it. I think it's done. I don't think whatever we do now, you can't change a team as much as we need to. So I think the bloke, when Fosun needed to invest, they refused to. And now we're going to try and scrap for it in January. And we need to average, almost 2 points a game, really, to get to a safety mark. So sadly, I think the time's come and gone. And that's it.
Jack, I want to read you something that Stephen Warnock said on the Monday Night Club on the BBC. He says, this is from the quote, Wolves players are cowards. There are no goals in the team. I know everybody goes on about Cunha. He's a talent, but he can't score. He scores a worldie every now and again, but he's not going to score 15 goals to keep you up. Another thing that really surprises me is why you'd sell Raul Jimenez. I know it wasn't last season, but for a player of that quality, he's exactly what Wolves need. He will chip in with 10 goals a season, maybe more. And it's his work rate off the ball that's nasty up front to pester defenders constantly. None of the Wolves players are pests. I don't look at any Wolves player and think I wouldn't fancy playing against them. A few of them are nasty in a way, but they're cowards when they do it. Anyone can be nasty after the final whistle.
I mean, there's a lot to unpick with that one, isn't there? But I think it's a classic case of some of these people who get paid for their opinions on football and will clearly just say anything, despite those comments there shows he doesn't watch much of Wolves. He might be on Match of the Day 2 every month or so and watch a few minutes of highlights before making his comments, but just everything really. I mean, Cunha is incredible. Let's be honest. I know he has his spells, but when he's on it, he's one of the best. The Jimenez thing towards the end, everyone knew it was sort of filtering out a little bit because of his injury, and he just wasn't the same player. And I'm happy that he's got back to being good at Fulham, but he wasn't the solution keeping him here on high wages, particularly while we had to wait 2 years for him to get back to form. That wasn't the answer. In fact, they're saying that Cunha won't be able to get 15 goals a season. I think with better service he most certainly could. And saying what else, we're not scoring enough and we're cowards. I mean, I don't think we're cowards particularly. I think some of the behaviour has been unacceptable, but if anything, it's a bit more daring than that. But it's just a classic case of we need somebody to give an opinion, who's available, who's free on a Tuesday lunchtime, who's been on Match of the Day too. Call Stephen Warnock, who obviously plays. He's a Villa fan, is he? Or I don't know, but so it's just boring, isn't it, really? But everyone seems to like to comment, and you see a lot of those sorts of opinions from people on TikTok or Twitter who actually don't know anything, but you kind of expect something a bit more from someone who's actually getting paid good money from it. But being a half decent footballer doesn't make you a good pundit, really, and that's the issue.
It was quite funny because I think someone posted below the comment when we put it on social media earlier, Harry, that the video of Cavallero absolutely sending him for a hot dog. I think he's playing for Burton at the time, as the fourth one in. So when he says that I wouldn't want to face Wolves, obviously the last time out wasn't great. But we talk about Cunha. You reckon it could be up to 10 games out. We probably don't think it'll be that many. But there's some people in the comments. James says Cunha could be out for 5 to 10 games, clearly pushing for a way out of the club. No. He's been off it since everyone has been talking about him. I mean, what do you think of that? And what do you think of his attitude? And obviously, the result was the result. It was a full-time whistle. But I am disappointed that you can't fucking elbow Becky people anymore after the final whistle. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was your dad when he elbowed Sam.
No, your dad, I think it was.
It was for Cunha, of all people, to do that. For me, it was out of character. We haven't really seen him do anything like that yet. He's our best player, so he's let himself down, he's let the club down, he's let the fans down, and I just can't believe he did it, to be honest. Yeah, you've got to be frustrated that you've lost, but you don't do that. And Aït-Nouri as well. It's just pathetic, isn't it? It's just like Carl Henry said to me the other week, it's good they care, but that's way over the limit. Like, he's going to get... The only reason I've said 5 to 10 games, I did a video on it today on my own channel, is the Nottingham Forest chairman. He got a 5-game stadium ban for a bit of a handbags in the tunnel after they lost to Fulham 1-0 earlier on this season. And that's nowhere near what Cunha did. Like, he had a bit of handbags, was really abusive to the officials with his swearing and things like that. But Cunha's literally elbowed this geezer in the back of the head and then ripped his glasses off. And God knows what he's been saying in at the same time. So it'll be announced Thursday. What day is it? They're recording this Tuesday. I'll be surprised if it's less than 5 games. And that is so harsh for the new man coming in, because Cunha's our main man. Like, he's got 8 goals already this season. So Warnock was talking absolute bollocks. He's on course to go past 15 goals anyway. He didn't even mention Strand Larsen, but we're fine going forward. So that column from Warnock was absolute bollocks. And yeah, Cavallero put him on his ass in the Burton away when we beat them 4-1 back in the day. Just an absolute helmet. But yeah, Cunha's let us down big time. So is Aït-Nouri, because he got sent off, didn't he, after the final whistle, which means once he's done his next ban against Leicester, he's back on the edge because he's still got his 4 yellow cards. So if he gets another yellow, he misses another game. So that's just stupid from him. And the discipline from the whole squad, the whole team under O'Neill, the last few months or so, has just been outrageous, and his terrible management. And even though he's been sacked, all the mainstream are still saying what a fantastic job he done. He'll easily get another job. He's been hard done to. It just baffles me. This is why channels like us and channels like Mark Goldbridge and people like that have got so big, because people are fed up of shit, lazy journalism with the mainstream, especially when it's to do with your club and you watch it every week. That's why fan channels have took off in the last decade or so. But yeah, I digress.
Great points, Harry. Bayliss Tim says, evening Tim, a fresh start for our club, which is badly needed. Not exactly the start we want if Cunha gets punished with those multiple match bans. We appear to still be suffering from our VAR vote. What do you reckon to that?
Nothing to do with VAR. We just can't defend. I think we do need a restart, but it's going to be in the Championship next year. And that's that. And all the top players will go, and we've got to hope that Fosun's set up. I think that's where the reset's going to come from. It's not going to be us scraping our way up and Jeff Shee spending 20p on a wonder
Manager.
kid from Made Upperstan. Yeah, it needs a bit of a reset properly, and I think that's got to come from the top down.
Neil says Fortnite is for the under 12s. Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily. It can be fun for all the family. On Bayliss, what Bayliss said, I'm not ready to think about that yet. Like, I'm not quite there. Maybe I'm deluded. I don't know. But every time someone says this, we need to go down to the championship and just reset everything. Like, we could be there 19 years again, because we've seen it before. It's not that easy a division to get out of, especially, when you're coming down and taking players on big wages and problems with you and potentially an owner who's not interested. So we need to stay up. And I think Fosun, to their credit, that's one thing they do understand, because we've seen it before with Lopetegui in January. They did just throw money at it because they knew how important keeping that Premier League status and finishing 17th place is. And I think the job now is probably harder than the one Lopetegui had on paper. It's looking really, really difficult. But it's not impossible. So I think we definitely got talent in the squad. We just got to, say it and just get behind the new manager now and just give him a chance and hope that he can go into that dressing room and put some discipline down and sort the players out, because it's what we've been asking for a while, like a change. You can say, and we're probably all in agreement now, maybe myself included, I was a bit naive and didn't see it as early as a lot of people in the comments did, but we got what we wanted now. We've got O'Neill out, we've got a change, and we just need to come together and really fight for it, because the one thing we've got here is a squad with some talent in it and a weak bottom half of the Premier League. And I know losing to Ipswich really doesn't help us. It's a real blow to us, but there's still enough time left to turn this around, and we really need to sort of just come together now and get on it.
Harry, it looks like it will be Vitor Pereira as a new head coach. I think he sent a screenshot of his jet flying into Birmingham Airport earlier, or wherever they would come from, probably London. What do you think, first impressions wise, and what you've seen and maybe what you've heard from reputable journalists, of the Tim Vickerys of the world at the BBC, on what kind of manager that he will be?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think I said last week or the week before on this podcast, we'll get somebody who's desperate to be our manager. And this bloke is desperate to be our manager. Our first people we wanted to get, Moyes, Potter, etc., didn't want the job because of Fosun, because of the self-sustain model. They know they don't want to touch with a barge pole. So this geezer is probably the best they could do on short notice, to be honest. And yeah, looking at him, obviously we were all chatting, weren't we? His CV, my God, it's about a mile long. He's like hopped around so many clubs. There is some positive things in there. Obviously at Porto, he won the league title a few times, Olympiacos. I think the Fenerbahce fans liked him as well. He won the title in Shanghai, that period when everyone was going to China winning because they were rich as anything, and he managed to win there. But yeah, he said himself he's financially secure, so he would have paid his own release clause, the £1 million release clause, just to get a chance at the Wolves job. That's what he's been quoted as saying. He's that desperate for it. He's been turned down by Everton twice in the last decade, trying to be a Premier League manager. Bit of a red flag for me. But yeah, we've just got to hope he's going to be good, because he looks very passionate. There's been the clips of him in the press conference there. He takes no shit. But it's just, can he sort this out? Can anyone sort this team out? He's got to sort us out defensively, which I hope he's capable of. He speaks multiple languages. Obviously, he's Portuguese. We've gone back to George Mendes, haven't we? His agent is George Mendes. Obviously, Nuno's agent was Mendes. So was Bruno Lage. So is he going to be the next Nuno? Or is he going to be the next Bruno Lage? We don't know. But change was needed. And we've just got to hope he does well. I mean, like Cunha's banned now, Aitner is banned. Bayliss might be right. We might just be going straight back down to the Championship, and it doesn't matter who we've got. But Fosun will be panicking now, because they want us to keep our Premier League status. They thought we were going to be pushing for Europe again this season. We've seen the clips of Matt Hobbs saying to Strand Larsen that that's our plan. So that's why it's mad that O'Neill lasted so long. But they've got their man in. This is a Jeff Sheehan Fosun decision. This is not Matt Hobbs. Matt Hobbs picked O'Neill. They've gone against him now, because obviously that failed. And now it's going to be back to George Mendes. And I reckon we'll be seeing a lot more George Mendes players coming in as well, because we've tried to go away from him, but they want to go back to what they know and try and get success back in this way. And look, I hope he does well. I like the look of him, but there is a lot of concerns there when you're looking in the ins and outs of his career.
Jack, were you going to come in
there? Well, no, I was just thinking, I know you mentioned Bruno Lage, but if we got some results like we did at the start of Bruno Lage's reign, we'd probably be okay. It was just obviously just how badly it fell off towards the end. But I'll be honest, same way as with Bruno Lage, with Nuno, don't know much about him, really. It's a bit of an unknown. Agree with everything Harry said, really. It was going to have to be somebody who wanted to come here rather than one of the big names who wouldn't come to us or we wouldn't pay the money for or give them the money to spend. So we kind of are where we are. But I think the more I see of him and the more I read about him and watch videos, it's kind of getting me a little bit excited. I know it's going to go one of two ways. It's going to be a masterstroke or a car crash. There's no in between with this just because of where we are.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But if you're looking at some of the issues we've had lately, which stems down to, as we've said, just discipline in the dressing room and players, acting out and have not got their right heads on, he looks the type who's not going to put up with that. So it's kind of like, I don't think Cunha will be pushing him in the face because I think he'd probably
get one back.
Exactly. So, it's nice to have somebody also who wants to be here and is not just here for the paycheck, really. So far, I know nothing official has been announced yet. It could all fall through, but I think it's looking unlikely and like it would probably be announced tomorrow or so. But I'm optimistic. It's got to be better than what we've seen this season so far. It can't be any worse, can it?
It can't get any worse. It can.
But it can't be, because I don't think he'd stand for it, at least in terms of discipline. So if he can just come in and just get some confidence back in those players, steady the ship, get us so we're not defending like absolute idiots every time and just scared every time a team has a set piece, then there's enough there to at least let us put up a fight. But I'm optimistic and I'm excited, despite not knowing enough about him to really have a massively strong opinion.
Trevor says, what did we all say when Nuno was appointed? We were saying the same then. This guy has more of a CV than any of our previous managers. Should be a good thing, shouldn't it? James says he has a better CV than Lage. Robert says, I'll give him a chance if he's as good as his reputation. Stu says, does he speak bullshit so Jeff Shee could understand him? Neil, I think, made the same point that Ryan Leicester did earlier on the Wolves report, saying he has got a better record than Nuno and Lopetegui as well, winning 4 league titles in 3 different countries, as sort of Harry alluded to earlier. Harry, just before I just get your thoughts on that point, I'm just going to go through the list on his managerial career. Settle down, everybody. We've got Padroense in Portugal. We've got Porto Juniors. This is 2003, 2004. 2004, 2005, San Ginnense. Stay with me. 2005 to 2007, Espinho. 2007, 2008, Porto Juniors again. 2008 to 2010, Santa Clara. 2010, 2011, the Porto assistant. 2011 to 2013, Porto, 2 titles. 2013, 2014, Al Ahly. 2015, Olympiacos, title. 2015-2016 Fenerbahce, 2017-1860 Munich, 2017-2020 Shanghai SIPG title, 2021 Fenerbahce, 2022 Corinthians, 2023 Flamengo, 2024 Al Shabab, and 2024 also Wolverhampton Wanderers. Harry, this fills me with dread.
It's like a Europa Conference League draw, isn't it?
A few that stick out. Who was the Munich one? 1860 Munich, is it? I think he relegated them. That was a disaster when he went there. And funnily enough, he joined them. What year was it? He was at them. Was it 2016 for Sam?
Fenerbahce. Oh, Munich.
No, Munich. So on the 18th of December 2016, he took them over and relegated them. What's the date tomorrow?
Oh,
it's the 18th of December. So if they announce it, and then he's takes us down, that's a bit of deja vu 8 years later. Just on the 2 Brazilian teams, who was it? Corinthians and Flamengo. That video earlier we were sharing around that he left. He left Corinthians? Said his mother-in-law was ill, and then about a week later he joined Flamengo.
Flamingo's a fucking pink bird.
Yes, he joined a bird. He was running around his garden with a pink
He was standing on one leg in a lake.
You know what I mean? But I found that story hilarious. So there's another thing with him. He's a bit mental, isn't he? He's hated in Brazil for that reason. But it's just hilarious that he joined that 1860 Munich on December the 18th, 8 years ago.
What do you reckon, Dan? Do you think, out of Jack's points, it's going to either be a disaster class or a master class? Is he going to be a Di Canio or a Conte?
I think naturally you get the sort of new manager boost, so we might pick up a few points around Christmas now, but can't defend, can we? We cannot defend for shit. So it doesn't matter if we score 4, they'll score 8. So
That's been the problem this season, to be fair. So
yeah, doesn't matter.
they fit right in. Let's have a look at the next game, because I suppose, Harry, there is a chance to sort of pull it round. We have an opportunity against a side who are also battling relegation at Leicester, losing to Newcastle last time 4-0. Connor Cody appearing in a back four for Leicester on that day. How important is this game?
Oh, it's absolutely massive. And you mentioned Leicester. They ship goals for fun. They do. I mean, I watched them beat West Ham 3-1. West Ham had about 1,000 shots that game. How they lost, I'll never know. So that's a good thing. But then we can't defend either. And without Cunha and without Ait-Nouri, it's not looking good, is it? I don't know what if it is going to be Vitor Pereira's first game. He's got to come up with something very interesting here. Guedes and Hwang did really well when they come on. I thought against Ipswich, and maybe I can't believe I'm saying Hwang, by the way, because I think he's, even though he's been injured a lot, he's had a terrible season. But you've got to try something. Yeah, so maybe they'll probably have to without Cunha. So I think Guedes will probably definitely start. Then what do you do in midfield? I know a lot of people have gone for Tommy Doyle. He came on and did okay against Ipswich. He went amazing. But I don't know. This is a tough game. Maybe I don't know if we'll see the three centre halves that O'Neill's been doing. I feel like this new geezer will change it up and we'll probably go for 4 at the back. Semedo probably be right back and probably drop Doc, I'd imagine. And then it's what sort of system he wants to play. He's only got, if he joins Wednesday, he's only got 3 days on the training ground. For many, it's impossible to change everything drastically in that time. But like Bailey said, the manager bounce. Maybe they'll want to perform for him. It might be a bit of a weight lifted off their shoulders. Now, Turkey Teeth's exited the door if it was toxic. And I just hope that we do get that bounce. Like Van Nistelrooy got his bounce, didn't he, for their first game beating West Ham. And we need that, because if we lose this, it's looking so bleak. I mean, we've got to be one of the favourites to go down if we lose this game, especially with the fixtures coming up after it as well.
Bayliss, do you think they will appeal it? So he's got until Thursday, Cunha, to appeal any or decision to charge him. Do you think it would be tactical to appeal it, play the Leicester game, and then be out for Man United, Spurs, Bristol City?
Yeah, that's the way I'd do it, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it works in our favour, doesn't it? We've been screwed over by decisions enough that where we can manipulate their rules in our favour one last time.
What do you reckon, Jack? I mean, do you think there's any legs in that? And do you think that Doc would be dropped, or do you think he'll be slipping into that left wing back slot?
I think it'd be the shortest appeal ever, really, because it's like, oh yeah, we'll appeal that. Oh, here's your hand against his face. You're out for Sunday.
I was just cleaning his glasses. What's the matter with you?
I'm not an FA connoisseur. I don't know how they work, but if you appeal it and lose, when it like double the ban, then that's the way it usually goes. So I think it might be a risk appealing if that's the case.
That does happen sometimes. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a waste of time appealing it, really. I think we're just at the mercy about whether it's a number of games, isn't it? Whether it's we get away with 1, 3 or 5 or whatever it might be. So I think we're going to have to work on the basis it's likely he will be out for Leicester. So that's unfortunate, really, because, he's our spark, isn't he? So then what do you do is the question, isn't it? So I think maybe you look to Guedes, wouldn't you, to start in his place. But you don't know. New manager. If he is announced tomorrow, will he definitely be in charge for Sunday, or is it too soon?
Yeah.
Do you know?
No.
Definitely. Yeah. So he'll be able to come in and, how much can he learn in 3 days? But I'm sure he can hopefully set up the defence a little bit better and, not play people out of position. That might help to start with. So, yeah, I don't know, really. In my opinion in this, I think, go to stick with your back 5 and start from there. But I don't know. Does anyone know what sort of football he plays or what his formation is? Because I don't.
He did. There's that YouTube video of his tactical masterclass when he was Porto manager. But Porto, I think Benfica were their competition at the time, but Porto's a bit like the Scottish. Back then, it was one of the two, wasn't it? It's not exactly a hard league to win, really. I don't really take credit away from him, but you beat the majority of teams. So I think he preferred. It's like a 3-4-1-2. I see people say he plays like that. I can't see him doing what O'Neill's been doing. But then he might have to. Like, we can't just all of a sudden go, right, high pressing, go for it, boys. Like O'Neill tried that at the beginning of the season with 4 at the back. And look how that got us. He soon switched back when we got to that Man City game. And Bruno Lage did the same, didn't he, when he was in charge. Lopetegui played a 4 and made it work, didn't he? When we survived, he played a back 4 a lot. But yeah, he has got his own style. But we can't implement that in 3 days. He just can't. Maybe in January, once he gets a few of his own players in, he has a little bit of time to work with them. But we haven't got the luxury, have we? We've got to try and stay up. We've just got to make something work now, as we're going to go down.
Let's do a score prediction, Bayliss.
3-1 Leicester.
Nice. Jack?
2-0 Leicester.
Fucking hell. Okay.
What would you expect? Something of what we've seen.
Yeah, I think I think we'll all be buzzing with optimism as we go into the game, and then Leicester will score after like 2 minutes, and we'll lose like 3-1. That's how I feel like it's going to go. I just can't. I want to be positive. I really do. People moan at us. Well, they definitely do at me in my comments that I'm really negative, but I can't help it. How can you be positive right now with what's going on? But you know what? Sod it. No, Wolves are going to win 3-1. Leicester will score after 2 minutes, and Wolves will win 3-1. There we go. There's my positivity.
There we go. We will clip that up for next week when we lose 6-0. Now, I suppose we talk about the new manager bounce and how that may affect players as well as anything else. I mean, the fans seem to be united in the decision to get rid of Gary O'Neill. I've not really seen too many bad comments about him. I mean, I was pretty underwhelmed, probably not quite as underwhelmed as when we got Gary O'Neill. And then we're obviously in this position later. But I would just like to say that my predictions on the 13th of August would that Gary O'Neill would not see 2025. And Bayliss also said that we would concede the most goals since we won promotion.
Don't mention that. Don't mention Mon and Jack. Just keep them down. Stick with them that you think dead. Me and Jack were off that day. Them two just did the podcast.
They can stay in the archives, I think, on that one. Harry, do you think there are going to be players in there that think they have got a chance? I'm more thinking of the Tommy Doyles of the world that maybe haven't had as much of a chance as you'd expect. For me, Forbes would fall into that category as well. And then that'll open up to the question of what you think, if anything, will happen in January.
Yeah, well, on the likes of Forbes and Rodrigo Gomez and Pedro Lima, O'Neill just didn't fancy him, did he? Simple as that. He spoke about it in his press conferences. Whether this new guy will give them a go, maybe. I hope he does, because Rodrigo Gomez, we've said it so many times, was so good in pre-season. I thought he had a good game away at Fulham in that 4-1 win as well. So I would like to see them. Just on your predictions, it's funny because listening back to the clips that we put out on social media, I could hear myself like sniggering at you two, like laughing as if to say you two are mental. And it's crazy how it's worked out that way. Because at pre-season, I thought we were going to be fine. I did. I thought we were going to be mid-table okay before a ball was kicked, and you two must have smelt us or something. I didn't, and this is where we are now. And yeah, I don't know, man. The new manager bounce needs to happen. I hope it works. I wish it was Potter or Moyes, maybe Moyes, but it's not. And this is where we are. I can't believe we're in this position, but we are in this position, and we're not going to finish above Villa like Jack predicted. So let's see how it goes.
He said he was going to say. He said,
in my defence on that, I wasn't thinking we were going to finish in the Champions League spot. So I thought Villa would struggle with Champions League football and have a bad season. So I thought we might finish 15th and then 16th or something like that. So that's the context of that. But yeah, I was wrong. I'm a dickhead.
I'm glad to be wrong on mine, by the way. We may as well say what mine was now. I predicted that Strand Larsen wouldn't score more than 5 league goals. He's already got 6, hasn't he? And I'm happy to be wrong. And he has proven me wrong. And I think he's been really good this season.
Yeah, agree. And I'm not saying I'm Mystic Sam, but when you look at our results since February this year, it wasn't really the biggest stretch to sort of think that Gary O'Neill would be
injuries, that's another thing, Sam, just while we're on it. There was a bit of our fan base that thought O'Neill should have gone in the summer because of the end of the season. But the majority of people, and Fosun and Jeff and Matt Hobbs, were thinking, well, hold on, we had so many bad injuries. It's not his fault. In hindsight, I think he had a lot to do with it. Yeah, we had Neto, Wang and Cunha got injured at bad times. But I do think he had a lot to do with it, O'Neill. Look, in hindsight, now we've got the beginning of this season to go up.
Hindsight's a great thing, but I think looking back to that Coventry game, that was the sign. That was the big warning sign to everybody. Because, you know, to throw that away, especially after getting ourselves back into it, and it doesn't matter. I know that we had to, you know, play some of the fringe players in the youth academy, but we should have been getting through that game. And that sort of mentality, look at us throwing away late goals. That's still happening now. Yeah. So, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And I say well done to the people in the comments and lots of people who saw this way before I did and probably everyone else on this podcast. Because I was, you know, again, optimistic. Even after the first few games of this season, I know we didn't pick up any points, but we were playing some good stuff. And now it's just, just falling away in it. So, yeah, well done, everybody who you should start a podcast.
I agree. I mean, Dan, I don't know how you feel about it. Obviously, I think the biggest loss was Pedro Neto, and that was evident from the gap when he was injured and then seeing what he was doing when he came back into the side back end of last season and then losing him.
No, I think the writing's been on the wall for a while. But the news articles were pretty clear in 2021 that the Chinese government told companies to not invest in overseas sport. And that's exactly what's happened. And now we're all going, fucking hell, look at what's happened. And it's literally been in the press for 3 years.
Yeah, funny enough, because I was joking before we come on about me doing all these YouTube videos. I actually did a video on Fosun. I looked back at the whole history, and it was around COVID where it started to go pear-shaped, yeah. And the first Ask Wolves they ever did, you remember toward the end of Nuno's reign, they did that sit-down interview with Johnny Phillips. They all sat in a circle with Scott Sellers and people like that. And it was the first time they started to mention the self-sustainable model and the sell-to-buy, and talking about not being pumping money in, basically. And weirdly, in that video as well, they said they're keeping Nuno, but then like a day later, he said he was leaving. But yeah, that was... and I stick by, even before I did that video looking back, I stick by that Jeff, because of how well it went in the early days, after the first season, scrap that off, that's a bit mental, the first season with Wenger and Walter Zenga, and Paul Lambert. But once we got Nuno in, everything started flying with Dalrymple and Falwell and that. He just thought it was way too easy. Like, that's when he come out with a quote saying we're going to be competing with Man City. Gets rid of Dalrymple, falls out with him because they probably questioned his decisions, and he didn't like it. Got rid of Falwell because he had Mendes to sort out all the transfers, and Jeff got too big for his boots. So at one point, he was doing about 6 different jobs, if you remember. Then he got Scott Sellers into helping him. That was a disaster. And now we've got Matt Hobbs. And yeah, the decline since those glory days under Nuno has been slow but tragic. Like, Jeff Shee still knows as much about football as my nan. Like, he just does. It's the truth. You don't know that much about football. It's just the truth. It is. Like, he backed Fabio Silva till the cows come home, if you remember. Spent all that money every year. And in that Ask Wolves, he was banging on about Fabio. He'll be good. He'll be good. He's done okay when he's gone out on loan, but it's like he's cursed when he plays for us. It just won't work.
Do you think, just with the video game vibe, do you think he signed Fabio Silva because of how good he was on Football Manager? Do you think that might be something to do with it?
But he signed him for Crawley, and he was pulling up trees.
Wasn't it Johnny Phillips, wasn't it? I alluded to earlier when Johnny Phillips put out saying that Jeff Shee literally after the Everton defeat was at a Fortnite esports tournament. How mental is that? The run we're in, and our chairman, the bloke who calls the shots, is at Fortnite tournaments. You can't make that
that could be nonsense.
Well, it's Johnny Phillips. He don't talk shit, does he? He wouldn't put that out there for no reason.
It's a hell of a thing to make up, isn't it?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. He's a respected journalist, Johnny Phillips, that works at Sky and things like that. You know, if the Express and Star put out, I'm joking.
Well, you'd have to fucking pay to fucking read it. Let's do a January wish.
Another trip to Vietnam.
Yeah, bit of serotonin and a new hobby.
Yeah, fair enough. Jack?
Just a win.
A win, that'd be nice. Yeah. Harry?
I'm hoping for 2 centre-backs, at least, good ones. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping for another striker because Cunha could be out for 5 games. I'm hoping for a system that Vitor Pereira stumbles upon very quick and we just click and the belief's there, the manager bounces there, and we have what we had with the Lopetegui. When we just get comfortably get out of it, have a nice run in the FA Cup. We all get excited thinking we're going to get to Wembley. And then I'm going to be dusting off the passport for next year. That's what I'm hoping for. It won't happen, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Pre-season in Belfast. Excellent. We have
what do you want, Sam? What about you?
2 centre-backs, a striker and a winger, please. That would be great.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm not really impressed with the goalkeepers, but I mean, we've just spent 10 million quid on one, so I think he should probably be playing. But there you go. We have a quiz. Didn't really have time to do a Vitor Pereira one, and to be honest, nobody will get any of the questions right. So we'll do the person that joined us pretty much this time last year, almost to the day. Julian Lopetegui.
2 years.
Last year. I was gonna say
2 years
last
ago.
year.
2 years ago. Oh my God, time flies when you're having fun. So I've got 10 questions. So I'll save the last
Comments
one as a tiebreaker. The comments should be off. Bayliss, comments off. I'm watching you. He got us out of the shit last time and then left us in the shit. Hopefully that doesn't happen this time. Harry, we're going to start with you.
I'll take that.
What is Julian Lopetegui's full name? These are multiple choice. Don't worry.
You can just say it. Hold on,
Is it-
I didn't even know. I'll have a guess. Is there a multiple choice? Yeah.
Yeah, it's multiple choice. Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Whose question is this?
Wouldn't it?
Fine.
Harry's.
Oh, it's Harry's. Okay.
Is it A, Julian Lopetegui? Is it B, Julian Lopetegui Agote? Is it C, Julian Jose Lopetegui? Or D, Julian Juan Lopetegui?
Well, the second one sound. What was it? Julian Lopetegui Amagote. I don't think it's that one. I'll go with C.
It is Julian Lopetegui Agote. Unlucky.
Oh, bollocks.
Bayliss, what was the last club Julian Lopetegui managed before taking over as Wolves manager?
Club, I think it might be Real Madrid.
It is Sevilla. Could have given you multiple choice there. But,
Should have multiple choice.
Multiple
Cheers,
choice for that.
thanks.
well, you did say one of
I
the
don't think you
multiple choice
needed it for
answers. To be fair. Yeah. No. Jack, what European trophy did Julian Lopetegui win with that club in 2019-20?
The Europa League.
Yes. Who they beat in the quarterfinals?
Oh, that's a toughie.
Harry, what position in the Premier League were Wolves in when Lopetegui took over as manager in November 2022?
Oh, so I think we played about 15 games. I don't think we were rock bottom. We'd won a couple because Steve Davis got a win. I think Bruno Lage got a win. I'll go on multiple choice. Go on, multiple choice.
No, you can't have multiple choice. There's only three point ones it can be, isn't
I
there?
want
Really?
multiple choice. I don't think it's 20th. So 20th not in
Is
there.
it 20th, 18th, or 19th? There you go. There's your multiple choice.
Is that what it is now?
I bet my multiple choice is 15th, 16th, 18th, or bottom.
I'll go 18th.
It is bottom.
Oh, I should have guessed.
Bayliss, what was Wolves' first Premier League game under Lopetegui? Do you want the multiple choice? I will give it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You've got to know this.
I think it's. I thought it was Everton
no,
away.
God.
I thought it was Everton away.
It was.
It
It was.
is
it
Everton
was.
Thank
away.
God.
Well, they didn't
Right.
need that, did you? Silly goose.
You restored my faith in
Christmas.
your baby.
I know, but I didn't want to shoot myself in the foot again.
No, not after last time. Jack, in the January 2023 transfer window, who was Wolves' first signing from Nice under Lopetegui?
I know this.
That's thrown me. Was
Ooh.
it Bellegarde?
No, it's Mario Lemina.
Oh shit, that's nice.
Back round to Harry. Pointless Harry. Wolves suffered their heaviest Premier League defeat during Julian Lopetegui's only season as manager. Who did they lose 6-0 to in April 2023?
Brighton away.
It is Brighton. Point on the board. Bayliss. Wolves' biggest win in the Premier League during Lopetegui's only season as manager was a 3-0 home win in February 2023. Who did they play?
Have multiple choice, please.
No,
Is it? Come on,
No,
3-0
no.
win.
like
Craig Dawson volley.
Oh, Bayliss. Bayliss.
My
I don't think
dad
Liverpool
left
owned,
the
I
family
thought,
group.
Liverpool. Yeah,
It is Liverpool. Yes. Right, Jack, this is to square it up and we go to a tiebreaker. What position in the Premier League did Wolves finish in Lopetegui's only season as manager, 2022-2023?
15th.
It is 13th.
Shit.
Oh,
Bayliss,
Oh.
Bayliss wins. Very good effort. Do you want to do the tiebreaker? You can buzz in
Yeah.
just for
Yeah.
fun. Wolves won 10 games whilst Lopetegui was manager. For how many games was he manager?
take away 15 or 38, someone.
Well, he wasn't in
You can
charge
do
for
that,
38 games.
Take away 15 or 38.
Come on,
That's the
Dan.
answer. Why can't I work that out? 23.
Well, how many we play now? Like, yeah, it's going to be like 20.
It was about 15 games when he took over, I'm sure it was. So 23.
23. The answer is 27.
Oh, I'm close.
27.
No,
There
I'm
you
not.
go. That finishes that for another week. Best of luck if you're heading to the King Power Stadium on Sunday. We will say goodbye to Harry Mansell.
Yeah, congratulations to Luke Littler for winning Sports Personality of the Year. Goodbye, everyone.
Has he won Sports Personality of the Year?
Nah, he won the young one. He's won the young one.
The young
He's
one.
only 12.
It's a goodbye to Dan Bayliss.
Goodbye.
And he obviously met Jack playing Fortnite. It's goodbye from Jack.
Goodbye, everybody.
It's a goodbye from me. Goodbye.